Welcome to the Fret Dojo podcast, the place where pro guitar players share their secrets. Visit www.FretDojo.com to access online courses and free resources to take your guitar playing to the next level.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Fret Dojo podcast. My name's Greg O'Rourke, I'm the founder of Fret Dojo, and today I have with me my wonderful assistant Vin Amarando, and a special addition to our team today. I'd like to welcome the fabulous Ryan Dillahay to the show, who's come on as our community manager in Fret Dojo. So I thought we'd bring Ryan on today and just welcome him to the community. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Yes, it's been really cool to kind of dip my toes in the community a little bit, just the tiny bit that I've been here, but I'm really excited to jump in.
Fantastic. So a bit of background about Ryan. So Ryan is a graduate of the University of Florida, and he studied with the amazing Barry Greene, who we also recently had on the Fret Dojo podcast. And I thought we'd just spend a few minutes today, Ryan, talking about a little bit what you're up to in your day-to-day life as a musician these days, and also a bit about what it was like studying with Barry and at the university there at Florida as well. So, well, why don't we get started with what does your typical day look like as a working musician?
Yeah, that's a great question. It kind of varies from day to day, just because I think, as you guys can probably imagine, being kind of a pro musician, it's not necessarily just all playing gigs, so there's a lot of different hats that I'm kind of wearing, whether that's like, teaching lessons or just practicing or preparing or almost being like an entrepreneur trying to set things up. So, a typical day usually includes like checking out music I might need to learn for an upcoming performance, or getting in touch with lesson students to try and organize lessons or teaching lessons. But it's definitely a lot more focused on the trying to get yourself out there and make connections sort of side of things. A lot of the practicing is kind of de-emphasized, which is, I'm so glad that I was able to get so much work done when I was at University of North Florida.
That's a good lesson, actually, that you've just said there, because for those of you guys that are still at university studying music, use that time while you got it, because it's hard to get that back when you go into the sort of working life as a musician. As you say, Ryan, the entrepreneurial side of things is very important. Because music, being a performing musician, is a business, and it's a tough business as well. You've really got to get out there and network, meet other people, play as many gigs as you can, and but good on you. It sounds like you're really you're really going for it, man. So why don't we go back though to your university studies there? What was it like studying with Barry Greene?
Studying with Barry Greene was such a great opportunity to really grow as a player, just because I kind of had this vague idea of what jazz guitar was like, or what jazz was like in general before coming to UNF, just in terms of, the little bit of listening I had done. I was really kind of a newbie in terms of what jazz I knew of. And so it was such an incredible opportunity to just get immersed in that community. And then Barry, too, was kind of such a great person to learn from, because he was kind of the distillation of all of the guys that I had really enjoyed up to that point. Of course, George Benson and Wes Montgomery and Pat Martino. And Barry's kind of, I see him as sort of the torchbearer of those guys' legacies in terms of the music. So, it was really awesome to be studying with someone who's kind of coming from the same school as I was in terms of what I really enjoyed in the music. And so, I think some of the things that are really stand out in his playing were really inspiring to me, and that's probably stuff we'll touch on when he's here for the workshop. But just his vocabulary and his technique and stuff like that, stuff that was really inspiring to me. So it was really cool to have an opportunity to kind of get that all together right from the source. I think, in a way, being that he is sort of in that lineage of linear improvising guitar players.
Yeah, well said, well said. So, and Ryan's just as an aside, Ryan's mentioned that actually Barry's coming along to Fret Dojo for an online workshop. Not sure if we'll get this podcast out before Barry comes, actually, but in case you do miss the workshop, there should be a replay in our membership program in the Fret Dojo Academy. So Ryan, I might pass it to Vin for some questions, but I've just got one more quick one for you. What drew you to learning jazz guitar in the first place?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I first started playing guitar, I was about 13 years old, and I was really into like Texas blues, like Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan and players like that. And so I was a total blues head. Just that was my bag. And so it wasn't until I was in high school that I started to encounter, just in like school bands, more jazz music. And I think I was really drawn to just kind of the, man, it sounds kind of corny to say it, but just kind of the prettiness of it, when we're playing rock or we're playing blues guitar, sometimes we're playing stuff that's very emotional, but it's not necessarily, delicate or pretty. And that's something that I really appreciated in jazz music, was kind of just playing stuff that sounded just really nice, and kind of beautiful in a way that, that I wasn't really accessing in the other music I was playing. And so that's kind of what first drew me to it. And then as I kind of got more into it, it was really kind of, I just loved the feeling that I got from, improvising and playing with other people and kind of speaking that language, especially swinging, I feel like there's just, to me, there's like very few feelings that are greater than just really swinging with like a great rhythm section and playing lines and melodies and stuff like that. So it was kind of a distant, harmonic, melodic fascination. And then once I actually kind of got into playing it, it was a really kind of experiential enjoyment I was getting out of the music.
Fantastic. Man, I can really resonate with what you're saying there. It's an amazing feeling, isn't it? When the band's really like close knit together on a standard or something like that. It's just it's such a nice feeling. So yeah, man. Vin, have you got any questions?
Well, in fact, I'm going to follow up a little bit on that. At some point, you made the decision to go and study with Barry, but you were coming from more of like a blues and a rock background. So what sort of preparation did you do? Did you take private lessons, in order to get prepared to go into the jazz program with Barry Greene?
Yeah, I did have some private lessons that were really instrumental in kind of bridging the gap. Because I had a decent ear, and I had a pretty good knowledge of the fretboard in terms of like minor pentatonic scales, which I think is, really common for guitar players to get together. But I remember there was one like class meeting we had when I was in high school, and we were playing like Blue Bossa or something like that. And my band director's like, Ryan, just play E flat scale over this tune. And I was totally clueless. I had no idea what he was talking about. Like, and so, from there it was just kind of realizing what I needed to check out. And so, private lessons were a huge, huge part in that. So that was a couple years before I got into UNF. I was taking private lessons, and that was covering things like, oh yeah.
Well, no, I was just going to ask, like, was there any point, like, after you got to UNF, that you thought, I probably should have studied this a little bit more, or I would have felt a little better if I'd had a better understanding of this before I came here?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of that comes down to, probably the biggest thing that I felt I was behind in was my sight reading. And I think that's something that plagues a lot of guitar players.
You really felt that held you back a bit, did it? You felt that held you back?
There was a point. It was kind of funny because it would crop up at certain moments, and then it was like I could kind of fly under the radar for a while, And then a moment would pop up where I would need to do some reading, and then I would really be in trouble, And so, especially when auditions came around and stuff like that, that was one of the things they were looking for. Whereas, the rest of the year you have time to prepare music, and you're coming to rehearsals and all that sort of thing. So that was maybe the one thing that I kind of regret not getting together more before I came into school, especially because it was kind of on my radar as something I could have, been working on, but I was, it was so easy for me to just kind of blow it off and, learn tunes or something instead. Because it came up so rarely for me kind of as a, as an amateur, so to speak, where reading wasn't really ever a big thing. It was always just playing tunes from memory or just reading like lead sheets and chord charts. So it wasn't until I really kind of got into that more professional space that the reading became like a really, important thing.
Yeah, so that reading thing is really important for jazz. Just it sort of unlocks access to understanding the like in a practical way, being able to just play charts that don't have tablature on them, but also to unlock kind of the understanding behind theory and harmony and all that sort of thing. It kind of gives you the tools to be able to decipher jazz to a degree. But I got another question for you, Ryan. What's one of the most memorable gigs you've ever done?
Oh man, that's a good question. There's a couple different ways I could answer that, I think. Probably one of the most memorable gigs. Probably the first. There was a short run of gigs I did in town here, and it was sort of a monthly thing that would happen. And it was a Friday night, and it was like a 9 to 1 a.m. Hit. And so I think my first one of those was really memorable for me because it was a first time I'd kind of been called in just as a sideman, sight unseen pretty much, to play with this quartet. And so that was a really cool experience of, just kind of being, in the heat of battle in a way where it's just like tunes are just getting called, or sometimes they're not even getting called. They'll just start playing and if I was lucky, one of the other guys would look over at me and, say what tune it is, But I think that was such a powerful experience for me, just kind of realizing the value of staying in shape in terms of, making sure I'm keeping on my ears and learning tunes whenever possible. So I'd probably say that.
And I think there was a good lesson there for all you players out there is, sometimes getting thrown in the deep end is a really good thing. Because you can't really grow unless you're challenged. So by putting yourself out there and placing yourself in situations, I remember another teacher told me once, one half hour gig with a group of people is the equivalent to like 8 hours of playing by yourself, in terms of the flight hours under your belt. So keep that in mind, guys, and it's been really wonderful introducing you today, Ryan, in this short little podcast today, but we're really thrilled to have you as a community manager in Fret Dojo. So Ryan will be working on, helping engaging the community, running little challenges for our members, and helping us publish the new lessons as they come in for our membership. Make sure you guys check it out if you're interested in finding out more about what we do. It's a fantastic online community of jazz guitarists from all across the world, all learning together. And so if you're looking to build your jazz skills as a guitarist, then definitely check us out. Okay, guys. Well, thanks very much for coming along to today's Fret Dojo podcast. My name's Greg O'Rourke. Thanks, Vin and Ryan, and we'll see you in the next one. And for more jazz guitar lessons, tips, and free stuff, visit www.FretDojo.com.